Ever wondered how a group often labeled as anti-technology actually powers their homes and workshops? In today's video, we're exploring the ingenious ways the Amish harness energy without relying on government-run grids. From subtle solar panel setups and wind turbines to good old-fashioned water wheels, they've mastered off-grid solutions that keep their communities thriving. We'll travel through different Amish settlements, see how they adapt technology to fit their values, and discover why their methods might just be the key to real energy independence. No endless screens required. Number 1. The surprising relationship with electricity. In many people's minds, the Amish are often viewed as having flat-out banned anything that so much as resembles modern technology. Yet, if you step into various Amish communities, you'll find that this perception is overly simplistic. While they indeed avoid being plugged into government-run power lines, they have developed a nuanced, well-thought-out relationship with electricity. It's not an outright rejection, but more of a cautious acceptance of certain methods and tools, all carefully vetted by local bishops and elders. Each community, referred to as a district, makes decisions based on an ordnung, a guiding framework that covers everything from dress codes to technology usage. The ordnung might vary greatly across different districts, which is why you'll see one Amish settlement permitting small solar arrays for refrigeration, while another might allow only battery-charged lighting. Discussions about new energy setups can last hours or even days, as elders go over the potential risks of each innovation. Would a proposed solar panel system lead to temptation if it easily powered entertainment devices? Could certain battery banks push families to spend more time in isolation rather than working together in communal spaces? Unlike politicians who often quarrel about unrelated issues, Amish leaders focus strictly on whether a specific technology will help or hinder the broader social bond. Anything that connects directly to the government's grid, thus offering near-limitless power, raises red flags about introducing distractions like endless screen time or online browsing. What's striking is the sheer ingenuity the Amish bring to off-grid systems. One farmer's workshop can be surprisingly modern, equipped with power tools that have been reconfigured to run on small solar panels or a bank of deep-cycle batteries. Another might use a series of belt and pulley drives connected to a stationary diesel engine, distributing mechanical energy throughout the space. This resourcefulness has evolved not from a desire to impress outsiders, but from the practical need to maintain productivity in farming, woodworking, and other home-based enterprises. In Lancaster County, for instance, you may discover small, off-grid refrigeration units that meet local health guidelines for dairy operations without forcing families to tap into a standard power line. Amish communities in Holmes County, Ohio, might interpret rules a bit differently, perhaps permitting more substantial battery-operated equipment in the workshop so they can produce furniture more efficiently. The principle remains consistent. If a certain technology or power source serves a practical purpose that doesn't disrupt social structures, it often finds acceptance. So, while it might come as a surprise that many Amish do, in fact, use forms of electricity, the real story lies in how they remain fiercely determined to keep it all under their own watchful control. Every panel, every battery, and every small engine must fit into a broader philosophy that values spiritual integrity and neighborly cooperation above mere convenience. Number 2. When the sun became an ally. If you look back to the 1970s, long before solar power went mainstream, certain Amish individuals had already begun tinkering with panels to power essential tasks. At a time when disco music blared in the outside world, these families were quietly installing sun catchers to keep milk chilled, run basic fans, or light up barns in the pre-dawn hours. Some of the very first experiments emerged in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, where a few especially innovative farmers recognized that solar could fit their goals. It operated off-grid, had no direct link to government power lines, and it could be scaled to whatever size the community felt comfortable with. Today, you'll find everything from small, single-panel units powering a light bulb or two, to clusters of 4 to 6 panels generating a steady supply of current. An average Amish arrangement might produce 1.5 to 2 kilowatts, enough to run a handful of practical appliances, but not so huge that it invites frivolous gadgetry. Lancaster County might feature discrete, ground-mounted panels that are intentionally placed behind barns, partially hidden from public view. Local rules often insist that solar panels remain out of sight from the road, ensuring no one is tempted to show off or slip into an attitude of pride. The same guidelines typically forbid hooking up to the grid. Independence remains key, and most families prefer to store generated energy in lead-acid or lithium iron phosphate batteries for later use. Each district also places firm limits on how that solar electricity can be utilized. If it helps with chores, like running a milking machine or powering a small saw, then it's likely to receive approval. But if it becomes a gateway to endless forms of entertainment, it'll spark debates. In some areas, people have added communal charging stations, letting several households share a single solar setup. This approach fosters more face-to-face interactions. Neighbors arrive to charge batteries and catch up on community news. The adaptability of these solar solutions is remarkable. One craftsman described how he started with a couple of panels to run a few lights, but as time went on and his budget allowed, he expanded the array. After a few years, he was running a small workshop off the sun. He replaced AC motors with DC ones so his tools wouldn't need an inverter. Another Amish man recounted how he angled his ground-mounted panels using a simple stick-and-shadow technique, pivoting the frame seasonally for optimal sun exposure. All these methods are driven by trial, error, and collective memory. Those who master solar installation in a certain district often become go-to experts, traveling around to help others set up systems that respect each community's unique guidelines. Number 3, storage solutions and rainy day readiness. Even the brightest solar panels won't help when clouds linger too long or the sun sets in the evening. That's where battery storage comes in, a realm in which the Amish have grown incredibly sophisticated. Many opt for deep-cycle lead-acid batteries, the same basic type found in marine applications. These units are durable, relatively affordable, and straightforward enough to be serviced in a local workshop. More progressive communities have begun experimenting with lithium iron phosphate batteries, known for their longevity and stability, albeit at a higher initial cost. A typical battery setup might include 4 to 8 units wired in series or parallel, yielding anywhere from 4 to 8 kilowatt hours of stored energy, enough to power essential appliances through a stretch of cloudy days. One Amish craftsman explained how he monitors charge levels using a basic voltage meter, shutting down non-essential loads when it dips too low. Maintenance is crucial. Lead-acid types require monthly water level checks, while lithium-based models need a reliable battery management system to prevent overcharging or deep discharges. Interestingly, some communities have taken this a step further by forming battery co-ops, where multiple households pool their resources. Large, vented sheds store bigger battery banks, and families schedule time slots to charge their own smaller packs or run workshop tools off the communal reserve. This collective arrangement keeps costs manageable and usage transparent. If anyone attempts to draw excessive power for non-essential activities, others can see it reflected in the system's overall performance, encouraging a culture of accountability. Sharing battery storage also helps new adopters dip their toes in the off-grid waters. Rather than each family purchasing a separate bank, they can borrow capacity as needed. When the local bishop or a panel of elders sees that everything remains aligned with communal values, no gaming consoles, no streaming devices hidden in a corner, they're more likely to approve expansions. That's how, over time, entire districts can shift from minimal battery usage to more elaborate energy solutions without crossing lines they've agreed to uphold. Number 4. Catching the wind. While solar might dominate conversations about off-grid living, wind power has carved out a special place in certain Amish regions, notably those with steady breezes like Indiana and Michigan. If you see a modest wind turbine spinning next to a barn, it likely sprang from a district meeting where elders concluded that, indeed, wind is a gift from God that's been turning mills since biblical times. The community's acceptance of wind power often stems from its historical resonance. They have used windmills for pumping water well before rural electrification. Modern turbines are just the next logical step. A typical Amish wind turbine might stand about 30 to 40 feet tall, capturing enough gusts to generate anywhere from 2 to 5 kilowatts. This can be channeled into battery banks or used directly to run workshop equipment. One Amish bishop famously remarked, "We want to catch the wind, not try to reach heaven," humorously referencing district rules that limit tower height so it doesn't overshadow traditional barns. Installation resembles a barn raising. Family and friends gather to secure a concrete base, attach the tower segments, and rig up the necessary wiring. Some communities prefer tilt-up towers because they can be lowered for maintenance. The turbines must also remain off-grid, so no outside power company is involved, preserving independence. To keep a low profile, paint colors might be limited to neutral tones like white or black, blending into farmland rather than drawing gawking tourists. When the wind cooperates, a typical Amish turbine can churn out about 300 kilowatt hours a month, offsetting the need for diesel or other fuels. One farmer joked that it covers all his workshop tasks and keeps the ice cream frozen, which underscores how even these conservative communities value certain comforts. Recovery times on wind investments often range from 4 to 6 years, making it economically sensible as well. That said, not all districts embrace turbines. Some remain wary of the visual impact or worry they'll feed a desire for bigger, more powerful systems. Others might only allow wind power if it's strictly used for agricultural tasks. But overall, wind has found an enduring niche in Amish life, bridging the gap between long-standing tradition and contemporary sustainability goals. Number 5, diesel, propane, and the art of controlled convenience. When the sun doesn't shine and the wind doesn't blow, many Amish communities turn to diesel engines or propane systems to keep basic operations running. But these sources are managed under tight guidelines. Diesel engines, for instance, are almost always stationary, used for powering sawmills, milking equipment, or large washing machines for family-run businesses. A typical setup might feature a diesel engine coupled with a generator head, driving belts and pulleys that run various pieces of machinery. It's common to see small-scale bulk purchasing agreements, where multiple families pool funds to buy diesel in larger quantities at lower prices. Some Amish districts even produce their own biodiesel, collecting used cooking oil from local restaurants and converting it through a simple process that filters and chemically transforms it into usable fuel. As one mechanic joked, "Our engines run on French fry power." This both cuts costs and aligns with the Amish principle of self-sufficiency. Maintaining the purity of the fuel and the reliability of the engine requires disciplined upkeep, often detailed in meticulous ledgers that show how quickly these setups can pay for themselves. Propane is another staple, especially for cooking, water heating, and running certain types of refrigerators. A 500-gallon tank might supply a family for much of the year, with some communities negotiating bulk rates as low as $1.75 per gallon. They value the simplicity and reliability of propane, which doesn't rely on an electrical infrastructure. If anything, the biggest risk is the convenience factor. Leadership councils may worry that families who have abundant propane might slip into too many modern comforts, weakening the communal ethic. Nonetheless, the practicality of having a quick, fuss-free cooking method or an efficient water heater often wins out. The Amish typically manage these fuels with the same caution they apply to any other technology. For example, they may decide on designated usage hours to prevent round-the-clock reliance. Or they may restrict the total size of a diesel engine to keep it from powering unnecessary appliances. Some communities even ban internal combustion engines from personal vehicles, ensuring no one crosses the line into mainstream lifestyles. In this way, diesel and propane serve as controlled conveniences, enabling productivity and comfort without jeopardizing the central tenets of Amish culture. Number 6. The revival of water wheels. Long before solar arrays or diesel generators, many rural families harnessed water wheels to grind grains and pump water. Today, some Amish communities are breathing new life into this centuries-old technology. In places like Holmes County, Ohio, or Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, you might find an unassuming creek running beneath a wooden structure, powering an ingenious setup of gears and belts. Modern materials like sealed bearings, corrosion-resistant metals, and better channel designs have made these water wheels more efficient than ever, while still maintaining the timeless aesthetic and function that resonates with Amish values. Constructing a water-powered system can cost anywhere from $5,000 to $8,000 depending on the site. A robust wheel might run $2,000 plus another $2,000 for channel construction, and then gearing or belt drive systems might add another $1,500 or so. But once it's built, the fuel is free, as one Amish builder put it. If the creek flow is steady, families can generate up to 1,000 watts of continuous power, day and night, enough to run a small woodworking shop or multiple pieces of essential equipment. It might also get paired with a battery bank, storing energy for times when the water level dips. Some families have gone so far as to construct small retention ponds above their workshops. These ponds effectively act like batteries themselves, allowing water to collect during rainy periods and then flow through the wheel consistently. Clever gating mechanisms ensure the channel doesn't overflow even in heavier storms. Maintenance might involve clearing out leaves or debris, occasionally adjusting the wheel's alignment or replacing worn belts. But overall, water wheels demand far less oversight than a diesel engine or wind turbine, and they operate almost silently. The deeper significance lies in how water wheels epitomize the harmonious blending of old and new. One craftsman joked that water wheels have existed since before electricity was a word, but modern adjustments make them more durable and efficient than their ancestors. In the same breath, he emphasized that the community appreciates the gentle hum of a wheel turning, the steady flow of the stream, and the sense of continuity with previous generations. This dedication to preserving tradition, while embracing subtle improvements, mirrors the broader Amish strategy for staying off the government grid. They adopt or refine each power source so it can fuel communal life, not disrupt it. Altogether, these 6 aspects, thoughtful guidelines, early solar adoption, evolving battery systems, wind power, controlled diesel and propane use, and water wheel revivals, tell a story of Amish resourcefulness that seamlessly merges tradition with carefully selected technology. They are neither ignorant of modern advances nor reflexively opposed to them. Instead, They harness what they need in measured ways to remain independent, tightly knit, and true to the values that have sustained their communities across centuries. It's a holistic formula that keeps them productive without losing the essence of who they are, proving that electricity, in all its innovative forms, can be integrated into a lifestyle defined by faith, cooperation, and deliberate simplicity.